Hi, my name is Kayla. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to do an overview of the books that I read in June of 2021. Let's go! So here are the 5 books that I read in June. So my overview of the books may have some spoilers, so beware if you haven't read them yet. The first book that I read this month was The Gamble by Kristen. So I really wanted a romance that was set in Colorado. We were going to Colorado this month, so I kind of wanted to just kind of get into that like vacation mode. So this book was a little ridiculous. It has been a bit since I've read like a cheesy romance novel, and geez, I was not prepared for this. Everything that happened in the book was just so incredibly over the top and ridiculous. So just an example, the hero of the book decided that right away the heroine was the person for him. Literally just hours after meeting her. And then he would basically just not give her a choice either way. It was just like, oh, we're together and you'll move here and it'll be great. And I was just like, calm down, like you are moving way too fast. The book was sort of like a romance, like mystery type book, and every moment of the book we just kept having so many big outrageous issues happening. Literally from murder to rape to suicide to kidnapping and an ended engagement to the heroine's mom, dad, stepdad, and ex-fiance coming to this little Colorado town during her vacation, like just to see her and to like, and it was just so weird like how the author just squeezed so many of these issues into this book. But like even overall with all of the like randomness and everything and like just everything that the author packed in, I just could not get past the romantic part of the book. Like it was just not romantic to me at all. Like a big thing is I hated the pet names that they used for each other like way too often. Like the main character it was just so cringy to me. Like he would call her Duchess, and like it was just really like off-putting for me. And I also really hated how pushy the hero was. Like everything just felt so unnatural to me, and it just did not appeal to me at all. It was not what I was looking for when I was looking for like a cute like romance book to kind of get me like excited for vacation. It was not what I was looking for. The second book that I read this month was Someone Else's Ocean by Stewart. So after finishing The Gamble, I really wanted another romance novel, but was hoping for one more that was better, to be honest. I was in the mood for like a romance book, and The Gamble did not do it for me enough. So that's why I kind of moved on to this book. So I got this book in a free like Beach Reads Amazon bundle on Amazon. And to be honest, I picked it just because it was the only one that did not have like this horrible cringy cover. So that's how I kind of just landed on reading it. Honestly, it wasn't that great. The book for me really kind of read like a Hallmark movie. Literally from like the main characters both going to an island to get away from their lives like after, and then both of them knew each other from when they were kids, and then there was a daughter that was deaf, but she was also not his daughter, and then the main characters had a romance, and then he tracked her down to win her back in the end, and it was just kind of like, oh, so Hallmarky to me kind of, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just not really the type of genre that I was looking for. I don't know why, I just couldn't really find like a good romance book this month that I was like really looking for. I do have to say, I feel like the author set up for this book a second book based on the main book's like best friend that she had on the island. The way she ended it, the best friend had like kind of like a love triangle going on, but she didn't really provide a resolution for that love story at the end of the book. And I remember being like, Well, I would read a book about what the three of them have going on, like the friend and her two love interests, and like I kind of want to know who she chooses. Like I want to know what happens here. She hasn't written like another book about the friend, but I feel like it's so common for an author to write like, you know, a book about a main character and then a book about her friend and then about this other side character. And so like this is like the one time where I'm like, I kind of wish that you would like make this a series, but there isn't a series. So I don't know, maybe one day. So overall, Someone Else's Ocean was better than The Gamble, but still like not quite what I was looking for. The next book I read was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So I listened to this book on audio, and then the last few chapters I had to read it on an ebook because my audiobook got returned because I took too long to read it. So listening to it, I feel like on audio first kind of ruined the book for me. I don't know. I didn't like how hard it was to follow. I thought it was hard to follow. Because like the introduction of each chapter would be like the place and then the date, and then I felt like it kind of jumped around a lot, and it was just a little off for me. I had a hard time following it. So when I finished the last few chapters through the ebook, I liked it so much better just because it did kind of flip-flop through the years near the end. And so I kind of like that better, where I was like, I felt like I could keep track more of what was happening. So I read this book because I loved the idea for the book. I love the premise of it, but I feel like I was expecting so much more of a love story than what I got. The book was beautifully written, but it was described as like two lovers who had to compete each other during like this deadly competition. Which I guess was true towards the end, but it wasn't like a competition like you would think it was. Like, I don't know. It just didn't feel like, I don't know, I just had this vision of them like getting to like an arena and like having to like do magic on each other or something. I don't know. But I don't know. It just wasn't like that type of competition, I guess. It was different. I don't know. And then I didn't really feel like the main two characters really ever interacted that much. They was supposed to be this love story between them, but I felt like I would have been so much more invested if I would have had seen their relationship like talked about more, or if they would have had been alone together more. I just felt like they were suddenly in love. And I don't know if that's because of like the contract that was like kind of binding them, that kind of like made them have that connection. But I just felt like it was just so sudden, and I felt like I needed more. Overall, though, I did think the ending was great. It kind of did feel like a full circle moment where all of the characters kind of collided together. And I did love the ending a lot. I almost feel like I would need to reread the book and not listen to it on audiobook to kind of get the full effect, and to see if I feel differently about it, or if I still kind of feel like the vamp up of the book didn't really go that well. The next book that I read was Voyager by Diana Gabaldon. Gosh, okay, so I finished this book in, dear Lord, I need a break from this series for a little bit. I think this is only the third book out of what's supposed to be 9 books when she finishes, or when the next book, or the last book gets published in November. And I am already just so done with it. The books are so fucking long, and I feel like the same things happen over and over, and the author is using like the same narrative device over and over again. Like, something bad happens, and then magically it just works itself out. And oh, remember that like random character from a different book or the last book? Oh, well, now they're an important part of the story, and like, oh, how convenient. And it just feels like suddenly like everything in the book just is like, oh, this is so convenient. Oh, this is so convenient. Let me just make this happen. Let me make this happen. And I feel like it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that character's back. Of course that character's back. Oh, and now, oh, you find out this is how it happened all along. Or, oh, they were the bad person. Wow. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. It just feels kind of cheap to me. And I feel like maybe my biggest problem with reading these books, like, is because I'm reading them month to month, like back to back. Because they're so long, once I finish one, I have to start the other one immediately so that I can basically read it throughout the whole month because it's so long. And so I feel like I don't ever get a break from these characters. So I think if I was reading the series like over the course of years as the author releases them, it would be much better than me trying to read one a month. I don't know. I just feel like I need some space from them for a little bit. I just need to get away from these characters, get away from these situations that they're thrown into. It's too stressful, and it's repetitive, but not repetitive. I think it's more repetitive in the sense that like, oh, here's another issue that is gonna get solved in like a couple of chapters, and it just doesn't, I don't know, I need a break. Thankfully, though, I do have to say that this book was so much better than book 2. Like, Claire and Jamie were actually together for the majority of the book, and that made it so much better. But, like, and then, man, reading all of the stuff that Jamie had to go through, like, the 20 years without Claire, like, in learning about it was really weird. And it was just kind of awkward where it's like, wow, does everyone just kind of want to fuck Jamie? Like, that's weird. Like, what are the odds that, like, the guy from the first book really was into him, and then suddenly this other guy is really into him? Like, I don't know, what are the odds? And like, oh, it's just kind of like, oh, how convenient to add these weird plot twists to your story, I guess. Like, I know she's trying to keep it interesting and everything, but I just felt like she just tried to make all of this unnecessary drama. So yeah, I finished this one and I was just so mad and irritated, and I don't know like what is even going to happen over the next like million books of this story that she has. Like, at some point, like, aren't we just kind of beating a dead horse where it's like you're telling the same like rendition over and over, I guess? I don't know. Like, where else are you going to go with this story? Like, yeah, the characters are going to keep, like, Jamie's going to keep running into trouble, and then he's going to magically get out of it, and you're traveling across the world, and like, I don't know. I'm so mad. So I briefly considered starting the 4th book in the series just because of my goal to finish the series by the end of the year. But then I glanced at some of the reviews on Goodreads, and after seeing them, they talked about how like the main conflict of the book could have been solved by just a simple conversation. And that just pushed me over the edge. I'm just like, nope, I'm so done with this series at this point. I can't stand reading Another Wings books. I just can't do it. I need a break. I don't know if I'll pick up the series in a few months. I don't know if I'll ever finish the series. But for me, like, the first book was good, and then the other books are just kind of a train wreck, and I don't know if I want to keep putting myself through that, to be honest. The last book that I read this month was Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. So this book was fantastic. It was a shorter read, but I think that it was the perfect length. And I really needed something shorter and more enjoyable after reading Voyager because I was so pissed at that long-ass book. But for this book, I felt like she told the story that she wanted to tell, didn't linger too long, and it was the perfect length, and for that I was grateful. At first, going into the book, I was a little confused on like where we were and what was going on in the story. But once everything got started and was being pieced together, it was all perfect. Like, it had this mythical and like ethereal sense to it. And I really enjoyed like that strange sense of the book. So, and I really did feel for the main character of the book. I was really drawn to him as a character. I don't know, I felt like he was just so kind and good-natured, and like naturally I was really shocked to find out about like where he was and how he had ended up there. It was kind of jarring learning that he was someone else, and like I felt his uncertainty with leaving behind the person that he thought he was. In the end, though, I am happy because it seemed like to work out really well for him. So I don't really have like that much to elaborate on with this book. The way that it was written was it was enjoyable and it was fun, and I would definitely read it again. It was short enough to like have it be like a quick, easy read. And I thought it was just really, really well written. So far this year, I have read 34 out of my 52 books. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.